A few tiny scratches on a bundle of wires just grounded the pride of American aviation.
And sent shockwaves straight through the global economy.
Right. Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're unpacking a massive stack of aerospace industry reports, some financial news, and a lot of Federal Aviation Administration documents.
Lots of documents.
Yeah, lots of red tape to get through. Our mission today is to figure out exactly what is happening right now with Boeing.
Because if you look at the reports we're analyzing, they frame this whole situation as a massive story about American manufacturing strength, free markets, and what these authors describe as the heavy burden of government regulation.
It really is a fascinating look at what happens when incredible industrial ambition hits a wall of bureaucratic oversight.
It definitely is.
So let's jump right into the facts to set the stage. Here's your 90-second news hook. In February 2026, American manufacturing giant Boeing actually crushed its European rival Airbus in deliveries.
They absolutely dominated that month.
They did. Boeing handed over 51 commercial aircraft. Airbus only managed 35.
Which gave Boeing its highest February delivery total since, I think, 2018. They had this incredible momentum.
But then, on March 10th, Boeing dropped a bombshell. Routine factory checks found small scratches on electrical wiring inside brand-new 737 MAX jets.
Just a few minor scratches on the protective coating.
Right. And the culprit was a simple machining error inside Boeing's own factory in Renton, Washington. But the fallout was instant. Boeing halted all 737X deliveries between March 5 and March 11.
And Wall Street totally panicked.
Plunged instantly. Boeing stock dropped 3.26% in a single day.
That is a massive hit. It actually dragged down the entire Dow Jones Industrial Average.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because a few literal scratches on a wire, why is that causing such a massive disruption to American business?
Well, the pro-business reports we're looking at point out that building commercial airplanes puts you right at the intersection of cutting-edge engineering and heavy federal regulation.
It's a very tense intersection right now.
Exactly. You have a huge American company trying to build great machines, take corporate responsibility, and compete on a global scale. But these financial analysts argue they are dealing with intense, sometimes suffocating federal rules.
Which really shows up when we look at the free market battlefield. Let's look at those raw numbers from February again.
The 51 deliveries.
Yeah, Boeing's 51 deliveries. That included 43 of the 737 MAX jets and 8 wide-body planes. Airbus only delivered 35 planes total.
And those stats matter because the free market rewards actual production. If you can't deliver the product, you lose.
But we also have to look at the backlog, right? The planes that are ordered but not built yet.
Right. The financial data shows Airbus holds a massive backlog of 8,770 aircraft.
Which is crazy.
It is. It equals about 10.1 years of nonstop production for them. Boeing holds a backlog of 6,734 aircraft. That's about 9.8 years.
So they both have basically a decade of guaranteed work.
Yes. But the free market is unforgiving. Boeing is dealing with the weight of federal regulators. But the industry reports make it clear that Airbus is fighting its own battles.
They are definitely not cruising smoothly.
No, Airbus is fighting a severe supply chain crisis. They simply cannot get enough Pratt & Whitney engines.
So they have planes with no engines.
Exactly. The industry refers to them as gliders. Brand new Airbus planes are just sitting parked on the tarmac in Europe. A $100 million airplane without an engine is just a very expensive paperweight.
That really shows how fragile global supply chains are. Airbus is fighting a hardware issue, while Boeing is fighting a regulatory issue.
And the analysts use that contrast to make a major point. They argue the global free market demands speed, but Boeing is currently tied down by a very rigid domestic regulatory environment.
Which brings us back to the Federal Aviation Administration. Why is the FAA so obsessed with this specific wiring?
What's fascinating here is the history behind this. The FAA documents detail a rule from way back in 2007. It's called EWIS.
Electrical Wiring Interconnection System.
Right. Specifically, Rule 14 CFR 25.1707. During the original 737 MAX certification in 2017, both Boeing engineers and federal bureaucrats actually missed this regulation.
They both missed it. So what does the rule actually require?
It requires strict physical separation between different sets of vital wires. The horizontal stabilizer trim arm wiring and the main control wiring have to be kept apart to prevent short circuits.
Because the horizontal stabilizer controls the pitch of the airplane.
Exactly. A short circuit there is mechanically disastrous. So because they missed it in 2017, Boeing eventually had to physically reroute wires in 12 different areas of the plane.
Okay, but we have to be fair here. Boeing's internal culture shifted over the years. They put financial metrics over engineering, and that led to the tragic Lion Air and Ethiopian Airlines crashes.
Which was absolutely devastating.
Right, so Boeing must take personal responsibility for its past failures. With that history, you can understand why the FAA takes a zero-tolerance approach to these new scratches.
The pro-business reports we're reading definitely acknowledge that dark history. They say corporate excellence requires total accountability.
But they draw a line between the past and this specific March incident.
A very sharp line. Their main argument is that Boeing's own internal quality checks actually caught these new scratches. Boeing found the problem before the planes ever left the factory.
So their internal safety system worked perfectly.
It did. And that is why the authors of these financial reports are so critical of the government's response.
Because of the FAA's heightened inspection regime.
You're right. Since the door plug incident in early 2024, the FAA has been heavily involved. So when Boeing caught this minor, easily fixable issue internally, the federal government stepped in and mandated a total delivery halt.
A total halt over something they already caught.
Yes. Now Boeing has to tear out interior panels and navigate miles of red tape. The reports argue this creates a massive bureaucratic bottleneck that chokes American manufacturing output.
It turns a factory floor fix into a global delay. And the sources mention another recent hurdle, too. A February 2026 FAA order about a ground wire fault.
Right, in the environmental control system. It could potentially cause unsafe cabin temperatures.
But Boeing is already developing a permanent fix for that.
They are. The industry analysts say this proves Boeing is actively solving engineering problems. They are showing real competence.
So what does this all mean for you? Why should you, the listener, care about scratched wires and federal rules?
Because this delivery pause hits your wallet. Major carriers like Southwest Airlines, United, and American rely heavily on the 737 MAX to grow their businesses.
Southwest is the largest MAX operator in the world.
They are. So when the federal government slows down deliveries, airlines face a sudden capacity shortage.
They don't have the planes they expected to have.
Exactly. They have to scramble to lease older planes or they just cut routes entirely.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's basic free market economics.
Supply and demand. When airlines don't get their new planes, the supply of available seats drops.
But consumer demand for summer travel is still super high.
Highly elevated. So when supply drops and demand stays high, prices go up. This regulatory bottleneck directly threatens to spike your ticket prices for summer travel.
If you want to fly to Paris, London, or New York this summer, you are pipping for this federal delivery halt.
You are absorbing that cost. It's a perfect example of how heavy government oversight translates into higher costs for everyday Americans.
But reading through these reports, Boeing isn't backing down.
Not at all. Despite the oversight and the stock drop, CEO Kelly Ortberg is holding the line.
They're staying committed to their targets.
They want to deliver 500 aircraft in 2026. They are keeping production at 42 jets a month right now.
Even with the delivery pause.
Yes. And they are pushing to open a fourth assembly line in Everett this summer to eventually hit 63 planes a month.
The financial analysts highlight that as real American industrial strength.
They view it as a very bold move. Boeing is actively expanding production while fixing these intense regulatory demands.
So to summarize what we've learned from all these sources today, American manufacturing is tough and resilient. Boeing has to maintain strict personal responsibility and corporate excellence.
It's absolutely non-negotiable.
But these reports strongly argue that the heavy hand of federal regulation turns minor, internally caught factory errors into massive global disruptions. A few scratched wires caught by Boeing's own people triggered a federal halt that is hiking up your summer travel costs.
And looking at all this data leaves us with a really important thought to mull over. Boeing caught this wiring scratch themselves. That proves their internal safety checks work.
They did exactly what they were supposed to do.
Right. But if every minor factory floor correction triggers a massive federal halt, will American manufacturing ever be able to innovate at the speed of the global free market again?
Or are we just permanently regulating our own potential into the ground?
That is the big question these analysts are asking.